worked with a bunch of different people, big and small, in the info space, coaching space, and stuff like that for the last like 7 or 8 years. And when
We always talk about funnel congruence, but congruence with the actual offer in person too itself. And they're not being a fraud or a caricature of themselves.
lead magnets and stuff like that, some of them were not the greatest, but they also had developed this like NEPQ 101, which was originally designed to onboard new sales reps and train them, but it was like a crash course series. And I was like, we could easily teach external people how to learn NEPQ faster with an NEPQ 101 course.
Guys, this is Blake. Blake is a long friend, and even if he doesn't see me as such, I'd say we're friends at this point. We haven't caught up in years, which is the whole point of this podcast. That was great. I love that. He's a 5 out of 10. We'll see by the end of it. But no, truly, I've always respected Blake. And like when I thought to do this, the idea for this podcast is to reverse engineer in the top 100 people in our space of what's currently working, not what used to work 5 years ago. Because a lot of you guys know you don't want to funnel hack stuff that used to work. You want to funnel hack stuff that's working now. And a lot of what I've seen and what Blake has seen, we talked about beforehand on mastermind stages or live events, is that people generally will default to case studying on the glory days or stuff that did work but doesn't work anymore, or inflate the numbers, various things. And I want to just get cut to the truth, actually learn. And if we're failing, we're failing. If we're winning, we're winning. We want to learn from, what's winning right now if you're having a hard time with it, or if you just want to double down. So with that being said, Blake and me, we shared various things, but needless to say, he's the real deal. And Blake, welcome.
Thanks for having me on, Nick. It's been a minute, and I'm glad to be here with you.
I'm super pumped. And we tried to do this a week ago, and just had so much fun sharing things that we never got to the podcast.
It just ghosted straight.
Yeah, I ghosted you. You're right. I ghosted you too. So we met up, and I ghosted you twice. So I owe you one. I'm gonna make up for it here. What's been new with you, and then take me back to what's happened since we first met.
Yeah, dude. So what's new with me is still rolling as VP of marketing for 7th level with Jeremy Minor, and we grew by 36% last year, so that was good. And what's that?
Really good.
In fact, you gonna fact check me?
Our course database would suggest that you and Cole Gordon had, like, over the last year, were maybe 1 and 2 in the industry as far as what I can see as far as sales training influence being in that niche.
Oh, really? Okay, cool. So we're substantiated, so we're good to go. So yeah, I mean, honestly, the main thing for me is like they brought me in. So I was hired 2 years ago to do a low ticket funnel. They're like, we want an SLO because everything that they had at the time was BSL based or lead magnets, and they were just working those. And then I basically built the Black Book of Questions funnel with them, and I mean everything from funnel to ads to copy to integrations, like everything. The only thing I didn't really do was the graphics for the VSL because I cannot do graphics, and I'm not Jeremy Minor, so I couldn't do the VSL. But
in post, we'll shout out the graphic design team.
Oh yeah, the funniest thing when I got hired for that too was like they were like, yeah, we want to do this, but we don't know what to do. And then they literally had they already had a VSL, and it was already like, I watched it, I was like, this is pretty good for probably having no direction. And then there was like all these pieces, and they already had a product, like at least a core book product. Yeah. And I was like, you guys are sitting on it. It's like literally sitting right there. You just have to restructure it. You have to package it in a good way that's going to work for cold traffic. And then you got to validate it with paid ads, and then scale it if you can. And yeah, so anyways, so I built that with them. And then the funny story is that they asked me if I wanted to be the marketing director, and I said no for about like 6 months. And then they finally said, well, why don't you just do a couple other projects with us and see how you like it. And I was like, okay, cool. So, and then, so then I said yes. And then they brought me on a team meeting, and they introduced me as the marketing director. And I was like, oh shit, it's like that. Okay.
Or two. Yeah.
So I was like, okay. And then I just went with it, to be honest. And then
A sign of
they,
respect. Yeah.
you know what, they were right. They were right though. It was the right move. And then I basically dropped everything I could to get more involved with them. And then since then I've become the VP of marketing for them. But like I've known Jeremy since 2020 when we tried to recruit him at Sales Mentor to be the head sales trainer at Sales Mentor.
I didn't know that. Yeah, and anecdotally, like of all of the sales trainings that I ask our sales reps, which have been the most beneficial, and I always forget the name of the core one, the method, the 4-letter acronym. That one is most cited of anyone who is a top performer, I would say, more so than any training.
NEPQ?
Yeah, of some variation of that. And I know you guys probably have different programs, and I'm not sure if it's the high ticket or the low ticket, but like one of those is often most cited is Jeremy Miners.
Yeah, to be honest, I've obviously like I've worked with a bunch of different people, big and small, in the info space, coaching space, and stuff like that for the last like 7 or 8 years. And when I started working with them, and it started when the Black Book started selling well, I was like so I was so relieved because I was like, the people who are buying this are going to be better for it. So I can sleep like a baby at night because
Yeah.
there's just all these testimonials coming in all the time. So I was like, the product's legit. Jeremy is like one of the most legit people you could possibly find when it comes to just such a crazy subject matter expertise and something that should be teaching. It wasn't like he did sales for 3 months and then became a sales trainer. He was in sales in 4 different industries for 17 years and then trained on sales.
I need to have
So
Jeremy here too. I just don't
sure,
know how to do. So that's super cool. So you found the right guy.
found the right guy.
A conviction. Is conviction important for you in order to market well?
Absolutely. I think that it's understated because people talk about sales conviction all the time. Like you have to have conviction to sell something, but realistically in marketing, especially if you're doing customer acquisition, you are selling products. And if you don't believe in products, I've actually seen this happen before in a previous offer I was working on, and the copywriter lost conviction in the product. And then I was reviewing his copy and I was like, dude, like he literally put this program is so effective that there may be a chance that it works for you someday. And I'm like, dude,
Oh.
I was like, you're pulling all your punches out of the copy. So it was like any hard hitting, like high converting line that you could have made, he would like soften it. And I was like, what's happening? And I was like, he lost conviction. He doesn't believe in it anymore. And, you're not going to try as hard. And when I see, when I hit like customer records in a day or I see the CPA going down, I'm like, that means that I get to help more salespeople get better at sales. And I
Hmm.
feel better about it than like, that person's probably not a good fit for this, or they might not be better off if they don't, whatever, you know what I mean?
Yep. So what it sounds like social proof and just the person's general expertise is part of that conviction formula for you. What do you do if you find yourself wondering, like, because anyone like Jeremy being the best, and I agree, like top in his industry, you're still going to get Jeremy Miners a scam post probably somewhere on an
Oh
ad,
yeah.
right?
We get
People
on ads all the time.
they'll extort you on review sites so you pay them, like it happens. So when you're going about deciding if you want to work with them, is it just those two that you're mainly looking for? And where do you encourage, what did you encourage that copywriter who lost conviction to do?
Um, I told him, I mean, I kind of told him to go write for someone else because I was like, if you can't write for this, like, it's not a good fit. If you don't have the conviction, you can't write compelling stuff for it. The funny thing is that he actually is on my team now, and he writes really well. He
There
writes
you go.
really good stuff, and it's like, and they're more creative. It's amazing what happens with conviction, whether you're copywriter, creative, like my video editor is doing like the craziest stuff with the ads because he's so pumped about it and has the conviction for it. But yeah, I would say honestly, the thing that I really value is when the person who's teaching has done it for such an extended period of time, because I think the problem that I started to find was that people would do stuff for such a short period and then they would go teach it. And people used to ask me too, they're like, why don't you just do your own course? And I was like, because I want to be in the game for like 10 years so
Yeah.
that I'm not teaching anything wrong, or at least I'm being contextually relevant to what I'm teaching and making sure that I have enough experience and subject matter expertise and depth to what I would be teaching, that it would be that much more inherently valuable than spinning it around and doing my own thing to make a quick buck, if that makes sense.
Yep.
But yeah,
Yep.
experience, customer results. Um, that's a
Matt,
really good question, actually.
thank you.
I
Um,
think I don't know if there would really realistically be anything else other than like I think integrity is a big thing too. Like, does the product and the persona align in a way that's congruent with the methodology essentially?
I'm gonna write some notes. That was smart. And we always talk about funnel congruence, but congruence with the actual offer in person too itself. And they're not being a fraud or a caricature of themselves.
Yeah, because the other thing too, for example, is it starts to bleed into other things, and I think that it can become something very detrimental if it's not managed effectively. And what I'm saying is, it also goes to everything that somebody experiences in an ad. The expectation has to be congruent throughout the whole experience, not just the funnel. So if Jeremy's like a laid back, chill, just a chill guy, as whatever that, I don't even know what that meme's about. But like, if Jeremy is chill, laid back, and he's a very like detached from the sale, right? And then you go to the funnel. The funnel's chill, laid back, and there's no high pressure stuff in the copy and stuff like that. But then you get on a phone call and
Yeah.
they're like, "Hey, sign right here, man. We got to get you going." And they're just like over hyped up and they're
Yep.
pushing you with a lot of pressure. Then you're like, "Whoa, what the hell is going on here?" Because had this experience, and then all of a sudden it was like I walked into a different like club or a different room, and I'm being treated totally differently.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I like Blake too much, guys, where I'm agreeing with everything he says. I'm gonna have to find
You got to find something to disagree. I'm sure we'll find something. Give it
we
time.
will. Yeah, because I can be disagreeable, but right now, like truly, I agree. That was perfect, and it gave me a new maybe definition of a conviction that I just put in the chat for myself. So I in my hierarchy of importance, usually like energy and conviction sit above everything else. And I've just seen it. If you have it, you can over index even in bad situations because of just, I've seen people with utmost conviction. They have no sales script and they're like, all right, listen, man, I just told you it worked for me. I told you that it worked for him. I showed you it. Like, are you calling me a liar? Because it sounds like you are. This is going to work. Like that type of mode, like ultimate conviction is hard to beat. So if I had to pick one thing,
Hmm.
obviously you want confidence too, but conviction is pretty important. So I was curious, yeah, if your copywriter loses it, everyone. I have some separate tactics that I'll be adding that to my own playbook. So, but I agree. Like you've generally spoken, done great work. I think regardless, and that growth rate would suggest that you are doing great work on, especially it sounds like that black book funnel. Walk me through what you saw when you came in and why you chose that funnel as being the one that you were going to focus on, at least initially.
Okay, so great question again. Basically, I was like, show me all your funnels. And then honestly, I went to their website because they had all these like free resources and paid resources on the website, right? So do you want me to walk through that, by the way?
Walk you through. This is a screen share type podcast. People are hopefully going to watch this too, because they're like us. They actually want to learn.
Okay, so this website hasn't really changed too much since I was hired. We're actually in the middle of redoing it, but so like when they hired me, I was like, give me like a few days or a week to just like wrap my head around the business and what you guys have. And then I noticed that they had paid resources, and then they had free resources in here. And then when I had came in here before, I was like, okay, so these are like the high ticket programs. Oh, this is more like mid ticket. And then they have all the other stuff here.
Yeah,
But
that's
then,
right.
so then this is rebranded. This has changed. You notice that this actually doesn't really match the other stuff. It's because it's new. So
I didn't notice. What do you mean by that? Just the visual?
yeah, like the branding, the copy of it.
Uh,
I mean, Jeremy is a couple of
oh,
years older than he is up here,
right.
So, but yeah, and then I mean, look at the difference between this and this. So this is OG stuff. This is new stuff. But this wasn't here before in this way. And the funny thing was that it was going to a funnel that, oh man, I really, I mean, you guys should see this funnel, but I'll try to bring it up in a second. We've added to this since this is something new. But then they had all of these like pieces in here of lead magnets and stuff like that. Some of them were not the greatest, but they also had developed this like NEPQ 101, which was originally designed to onboard new sales reps and train them, but it was like a crash course series. And I was like, we could easily teach external people how to learn NEPQ faster with an NEPQ 101 course. But I was kind of missing this core product, right? Let me
It's a crazy name for a product too, by the way. I love that.
Velvet Sledgehammer. Yeah, that's a good one. I didn't even come up with that. That was probably the copywriter.
You guys have one do you have an office or is it all remote?
So there's sorry, oh my God, I'm thinking about the Black Book. There's an office in Scottsdale. I can't remember where it is. I think it's near the Scottsdale quarter, but I think it may have moved. I can't remember. But
Get one made and bring it to Jeremy. Just a big velvet sledgehammer.
oh, that'd be dope. Okay, let me see if I found it.
Cool.
It's really,
I would love, yeah, find anything that you can because I would love to share it. And if not, if you call out enough of like a detail about it, I'll have our team in post link it in the resources section of this.
all right. So this isn't it, but it was something like this. And I was just like, what the hell is going on with this thing? So we had this isn't the VSL that I have, but they were selling it for $97, except we didn't even have all this. So the page that they had, it literally stopped right below this. Like you couldn't even scroll. It was just get the NEPQ Black Book questions and sell more deals or whatever, earn more commissions, buy the Black Book for $97, VSL, and then there was like and then actually in this spot here, there's like a highlight reel that was like a little testimonial VSL reel, and that was it. And I was like, yo, are people buying this? And they said, yeah, we sell like 100 of them a month or 50 of them a month, like just from people finding it on the website and buying it. And like there was no bonuses, no nothing. And then I was like, if people are buying this book that's a PDF for $97, then we can definitely get people to buy it at scale for $27 and actually have it rounded it out with better offerings and stuff like that. And then
What's
the
that?
funnel.
You price specifically. 27 is very specific to throw out there. Is that rooted in experience or you saw something? Why did you say definitely can?
So 27, the reason why I picked 27 was because it's close to the average cost of a book on Amazon if you get a hard copy. And I figured that like as long as I felt like once you go over $30 of the book, because I picked up books myself where I'm like, oh, it's like $35. That's fucking expensive for a book. But if it's within that $25 to $30 range, I don't question it. So that's why I was like, that's got to be a sweet spot for a book, At least that was my logic at the time.
Great.
And I knew that on cold traffic, because the other thing is like if people are going to the website, they've already seen Jeremy's content, they know who he is. He didn't even have that much of a following at the time. So if people are scrounging the internet and then they find that thing, it means that they really wanted to buy something, and so they bought it. But I figured that that wouldn't pan out on cold traffic.
Yep. That super. Thank you. That was great. So a lot of people choose prices blindly or just copycat. And yeah, when I heard that number, I figured that wasn't because it's rare.
Yeah, like people will say, "Oh, I know a guy who's got a $3 funnel, so I should do $3." And
Right.
it's like, well, what's the willingness to pay of your market? What are they usually paying for? And what are you selling? Because if you're selling, if he's selling like a $3, I don't know what the heck it is, like a $3 one, like a cheat sheet, and it's just a cheat sheet, but then like you're selling like a full-fledged course or a software or something that or they're in real estate and you're in home renovation, it's completely different and you have to treat it differently. You can't just like go, oh, he's got $7 funnel or he's got $3 funnel or a $27 funnel, I'm going to do the same thing.
Yep. Yep. I agreed. And if anyone's learning from this, like reaching out, people do that again all the time. So it's very important to have that infinite thought, the hypothesis, and just to test it. So I'll ask you another question. What didn't work when you're trying to crack the black box funnel that we can maybe eliminate from our testing?
Everything worked. It was great.
Worked.
So it worked really well. But the thing that like, so this is the other thing too. I'll give you
Sorry, not, it doesn't have to be black box related, but like, what did you go in when you were either deciding between this funnel or anything else that didn't work, I suppose?
um
Did you try to scale any of the other offers that they had, like they were conventional, they were spending
no,
money?
I didn't even look at any of that stuff. They had an agency running everything else. They were like, this is your thing, you run this thing.
That's cool.
Um, so that's all I had to look at and all I had to think about, which was great. And um, but I think what people don't realize, especially if they're whether you're publishing an offer for somebody who has a following, when you launch it, there's always what I call a warm front, where you'll think that you're a god for the first couple of days of traffic, right? Like you launch it with like a $50 a day or a $20 a day budget, and you get like 3 sales for $7, and you're like, I'm the greatest marketer of all time. But then once you push the budget and you kind of like it's almost like the organic it's almost like the organic warm audience is always populating or like almost like it's like a different level of atmosphere. And if you play in there, your metrics are really good, your ascension's really good because you have this like lift from the fact that everybody who's engaging with this stuff is already aware of who you are or who Jeremy is or whoever your guru or your influencer is. But once you scale past that atmosphere into true cold traffic, everything changes and like the ascension rates change, the CPAs change, and everybody just starts to think that something's wrong with the funnel. And it's like, no, you're actually running cold traffic now,
Yep.
you
It's
know?
Yeah, it's entropy. Like it's right. You have the mix of warm, cold, and then you have your like concentric circles or whatnot. So you have entropy as you scale up, or attrition or CPMs, or you're getting further from your ICP, and it becomes more complex. So it becomes harder for the media buyer. That's what I usually tell people. The only thing that can counteract that or even make it a non-issue is optimization at scale. Of so, but yeah, I experience that all the time. We're even having some questions today that I'm seeking the answer of, hey, why is there such a degrade over time? Frequency of the offer can be another thing too that I typically see. So I wanted to share Blake real fast. Blake called me out. I felt attacked a little bit because normally when media buyers, I will go off and post in like Facebook ad buyers and show off. And I'm definitely cherry picking like the best ads to put. I'm not putting everything I've tested. I'm showing the big numbers of like amount spent. And I don't even know if you can really see ROAS even. No, I cut it off so people wouldn't call me out here. So just know just know that that was intentional. I wanted to show amount and impressions because I know that's what people care about. But in it would have been probably a lot cooler if I would have showed the ROAS, which was still good, but just wasn't, amazing. Somewhere between 2 and 4.
That's all right, man. I appreciate the substantiation of the claims.
Yeah, now I'm gonna, if I do that again, which will be inevitable. If Blake needs media buyers at the end of this, when I ask him what's your biggest need right now, I'll just go post for him. I'll be like, "Hey, Blake showed me some stuff. Here's a screenshot that I plucked." Uh, just kidding.
Um,
I appreciate.
actually, I took over the ad account January 1st, and CPA's gone from like 130. I checked it like an hour ago, it was like $67. And but more volume. I didn't cut it down. Like
I was
it's
gonna take a took over January 1st too, which is better than December.
but yeah, so it's like the holiday slump came down. That's like probably 80% of it. But yeah, no, it's been going really well. So like I think the other thing too that people make a big mistake during the holidays time is they pull back or they shut off stuff too much. I
Mm.
actually don't do that. I don't know. This may be something we disagree on. I don't know. But people are like, hey,
Yeah.
they're like, hey, the salespeople are going away for a couple of days. Should we turn it off? And I'm like, yeah, but what's the cost of turning off a well-oiled
Yeah.
winning campaign for 2 days and then turning it back on and then it doesn't work again or it's fucked up for a week versus just letting it burn for a couple of days, still acquire customers that the sales team can still call and then work those leads. That's my theory anyway. And it drives people crazy because they're like, yeah, but they're not going to be able to take the calls, man.
Ooh, I agree with the majority of what you just said, just a different strategy around it. So it's never acceptable to turn things off because yeah, the pixel, especially if you're paid ads heavy, if it's SEO, probably fine. The SEO
Oh
traffic
yeah,
be like it's going to send a Google, like a sign back to Google at some point in the funnel that maybe page on time's lower, but not a big deal. With Facebook ads, yeah, you're sending them into like a complete vortex of nothing if there's no availability on a calendar call funnel. So, but what I will say though is like, do not shut them off. We aim for 90% fill rate on our calendar and expect to slightly underfill most days. Because if that happens, then I want to be close to 100%, right?
yeah.
Without having to turn things off. Turning things off and like a media buyer being like, I'm blowing all my budget for the week on Monday. Hey guys, I'm going to take the rest of the week off. The calendars are all full for a month. That's not good. Show rates are like lower. So what I say is like, cool, we have to almost plan for this consistent of spend, and then we adjust the window. And if I'm around, I say you can't go any more than 72 days. 72 days is the max I'll allow you to adjust like schedule once or Calendly and push bookings. But I'm
Mm.
not going to allow you to scale up and overfill a calendar for 2 weeks just because and by 2 weeks, I mean like reps are off for 3 days and then they're filling into January on December 20th. So to me, that's a bad idea.
Oh yeah, I agree with you on that. Because then like the show rate, the further out they are,
Yes,
it goes like that. Like it's really bad.
really bad.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm like just hold the line
Yeah. Hold the line. Right.
and let the business just keep running and we'll
Uh-huh.
get back to business when we're back. But
I am a big proponent of budget for December at half the rate you do for January if you can. But that's not
oh
every
really?
with a call funnel, I don't have the ability to do it that aggressively. But if I'm in info and Black Friday CPMs and I'm trying to compete with ecom during them, like did you get a CPM drop on Jan 1 or like after Christmas?
Yeah, and we had pretty much. I mean, we ran Black Friday
Yeah.
promo like just on email for the most part. We ran some ads for it actually, and but yeah, huge CPM drop on Jan 1 after everything was done.
Cool. So here is my info. Like I have seen this anecdotally more than 5 times to where that's why I was curious because it doesn't always work like that. However, this is like here's a good example of how much of a force multiplier it can be for you scaling up in the sense that I'm going to attach it, guys, but you'll basically see some data where it goes from about $26 CPM to 16 month over month from December to January. And at that point, I'm like, okay, if I want to look better as a media buyer and I have a to cart funnel or an evergreen funnel, like I don't want to compete with e-commerce people in December. And when January hits, you get two psychological factors too, which is new year, new you, and then you get more room, so you're more aggressive as a media buyer. So you're like, whoa, I'm the best. Like I freaking realize, like kind of what you said to me.
What I just said.
Like put the foot on the pedal. I'm going to show everyone how much better I am. This isn't even enough. I'm going to take it 2 times further. So to me, those are really powerful, and you have more budget to do it potentially. So
Yeah,
that's just an info thing now.
that's really interesting. The only thing is like it's the way that the model works with the black book is it go to
Yeah.
a call, right? And we like if we were liquidating 100% of the black book, that would say like, yeah, I would totally scale the crap out of it.
How fast does the funnel take to liquidate? Because I imagine it sounds like it's the front end plus the setter closer model.
Setter closer model. So that was the thing that we did very differently with the black book funnel was instead of going like straight to a strategy or straight pitching people after they buy, we positioned it as an implementation call where it is a setter call. It is like a discovery that gets set on a strategy call. I'm sure people are very familiar with the model, but the reason why it especially worked well for us is because we're selling to salespeople, and I don't like to use this terminology because people will call it like you're disguising the sales process, which sounds unethical. But we actually do a mini role play session with them. We actually review the first few minutes of their script with them, and we actually try to help them see where they're lacking in their current sales ability, whether it's their tonality or like how they introduce themselves, there and like all different elements of the sales conversation, while simultaneously building a gap to tee them up for a strategy call if it's a good fit. But what's
Yeah,
that?
that's just smart. That's not manipulative, I wouldn't say at all. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like we actually tried calling it a role play call. Actually, funny story. We actually had a customer, right?
A fun frame to play with. So not strategy. You took strategy session and put role play instead.
Yeah, so for a period of time, right? So we had it where because they're salespeople, so we were like, let's call it a role play call because it's the language that they're used to, and that's what they usually do. And we're
Sounds
like, hey,
sexual.
we'll role play with you, right? No, yeah, no, no innuendo.
Yeah, it's underwear saying it's signing up for a role play call.
Oh God, but they wouldn't think of it that way, okay? They don't have a sick mind, you know. So basically, uh, and then the sales reps, but they had to be very highly trained reps to be able to role play them. But at the time, we had a handful of really, really strong sales reps that were taking those calls. And then I was like, how are those calls going? And they said, basically what happens is they get on the call and we start the role play and then we just slap them around because they're like, we're so much better than they are at sales that they see the gap without us even saying anything about their skills or anything because we just role play them so hard. And then they're like, I want to get as good as you are. What are you doing to me on this role play? And then they're like, well, I'm just doing NEPQ. And then they'd be like, how do I get that? And then it worked really well. But then at scale, it got hard to replicate because you need more and more highly trained people to do those. So then we switched it back to implementation call. But for a time, there was this one customer who ended up on the calendar like 3 times in a row because I guess he had saved the role play booking link.
And oh, that's smart. I love that. Do you guys still do that? I kind of want to experience it.
We don't do it anymore.
I'm gonna make them
But
go
they
back.
that was like a year and a half ago. I mean, I wish.
What,
And then
who is your partner in crime on like that funnel flow? Is that you and David, Duncan?
that was actually me and Marco Cortese at the time.
Crazy.
He
Cool.
was the CRO at the time. He was the one that like basically got me to go internal and all that stuff. So um
Dude, if
yeah,
I was the marketer, I would cut this right now and go, hey guys, I'm thinking about bringing Blake and Marco on for a part 2 of like how that sales marketing handoff worked. You guys opt in below and give me a thumbs up. Otherwise, I'm not going to do it. So,
sure.
yeah, actually we cut, we can continue, but like that's an option now. So That brings up a really good point, though, is like you in a meta funnel or you're teaching what you're teaching, a lot of people will call you out. I've been there with consulting.com. I know the pressure that comes from being the top leader in a craft. And you have to be, a lot of people think that it's easy. And a lot of people think it's like, oh, it's just coaches, coaching. Like that is the apex. Like Tony Robbins is extremely good, maybe the best I've ever seen at coaching, and I've been in the room only once with him where he was doing it, like Date with Destiny intervention style. I was like, holy crap, he's using techniques I can't even pinpoint the logic or reasoning in his head. Like it's intuition built over 40 years. So I think the degree of difficulty in doing what you guys are doing, selling the salespeople who are already good at sales, is very hard.
Oh yeah, it's an interesting thing to sell, and they're very, even though we're like not selling outright, they're still skeptical. Like I don't know what the call's for,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
But but yeah, man, it's so yeah, so we switched back to implementation call, and now we have like an implementation team, and they
Well,
handle that whole process. But
implementing the black box system, or should I go through the funnel and find out?
you should go to the funnel and find out. Help me drop that CPA.
All right, guys, I'm gonna go through the funnel and find out and actually post it because I haven't been through the black box specifically. I have seen a Jeremy VSL, but I'm not sure what's on the other side of this.
I mean, I could show you if you want.
Love to see.
Um, so this is the new funnel. So this is this is the all credit to my team and like the copywriter, the funnel builder, the graphic designer. We've just so actually fun fact about this too. This page is probably one of the most compliant pages you'll see. The irony is that the original page that I wrote and put together, it was very like how to like out earn or like increase like unlock outlandish commissions. That was my original headline tagline thing, was like outlandish commissions, which toes the line, but we had this mandate this year, or sorry, 2024. We were like, we've got to make the funnel like squeaky clean compliant. And then I was expecting conversions to go down. They actually went up by 30%.
Why were you expecting it to go down?
Because we changed. I mean, this headline also used to say, like the old control was how to quietly outsell your competition in 2024.
Mm.
And I was like, that's too unsexy or too straightforward.
I slightly outsell my competition. I want to be loud and let people know.
Yeah, right. But I was like, this is like, it's so vanilla. It's
This is,
not gonna.
yeah.
I was like, it's not gonna work. But then it worked really well.
That's cool.
So this is my funnel builder actually. It's Tyler.
Good. This is a clean looking page.
So hella clean. We got some breakdowns and stuff like that. But do you notice anything that's not on this page?
Oh, of course. But omission of stuff, or like omission of key elements. Is that what you're saying?
There's no testimonials on this whole thing.
No social proof. There was some social proof right there.
Other than this. This is social proof, but
Yeah.
the original Black Book one was like, I bought the Black Book and now I'm making 10K a day in
So
commissions.
it's
And
like a testimonial wall, basically.
yeah, it was all testimonials, all down the side, all baked throughout, people like breaking records and stuff like that. And while that's still happening, we don't even use it.
So did removing all the social proof increase the funnel conversion, kept it the same, or do you think that you changed multiple elements at the same time and it's hard to pinpoint?
It's way too hard to pinpoint because this page is so different. It's literally like saying, what's the difference between that apple and that banana? It's like
yeah.
I'm a big fan of home run swings.
My team calls them cowboy tests.
Cowboy. Oh, I love that. All right, I might steal that.
They go, Nick's not A/B testing. He's jumping with his intuition to a cowboy test.
Okay, so we're apparently spirit sisters, or maybe I should
Yeah,
say
we're
blood
sisters.
brothers.
I like that. Yeah, yeah. I never tap into my feminine energy normally, so I like that. That's good.
I got to tap into it a little bit. So anytime my team's like, "Hey, what should we split test?" I'm like, "Let's just change the whole fucking thing." And then they're like, "Wait, why don't we try a red button?" And I was like, "No, that's too fucking basic
The
to
lift,
do that."
1% lifts don't interest me.
Yeah. Is it okay if I swear, by the way? I don't know if it is.
Dude, I believe in free speech almost to like an Elon Musk level, almost.
Okay, sweet. So we're gonna let the sparks fly then. But
I think people should be smart enough, and we should teach people how to think critically instead of worry about uh, fact checking like everything or like false claims. But that's another story.
all
Yeah.
right, I'm on board with that. We got the hearts. So I think
Oh,
uh
that's a
yeah,
mark
man,
too. While on a webinar, always use the little no. Mine got turned off. I need to
this is
figure out my settings. That's my favorite one too.
you gotta kick it back on. So I guess like basically what happened was so like the design's different, color scheme's different, head like all the copies different, the layout's different, the graphics are different. So everything's different. So there's no way you could be like, oh, was it the compliance or was it this or was it that, right?
Right. Does that top social proof click like trusted by 52,000 sales reps?
Does it click?
Yeah, that was my first thought of what to do when I saw the above the fold to click that.
Oh, really? It's because you're probably used to the trust pilot thing.
Yep.
But no, so the irony is that 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 number is now over 88,000. So I'll show you too if you want to see.
Dang, guys, Blake. Oh man, we are. I love when I tell people I'm like it's actually a lie. It's 80,000 now. Yeah.
As long as Kajabi didn't log me out, which it did.
Dang, that's
Um,
crazy. That's legitimately crazy if you guys have that many. Like, are those just text or like starred ratings or just verified?
oh,
How,
sorry, not ratings. It's just the number of customers that we have.
oh, number
So
of customers. Okay.
so it doesn't notice it like it doesn't say reviewed by blah blah blah. Like
But I
it's
saw the stars and I associated with it that was that many starred reviews. But yeah, that's just my brain, not what you claimed, of course.
that's right. So I mean, to be honest, like it's really hard to it's really hard to be like so squeaky clean and like you know what I mean that it's like even when you're we have like an in-house legal team and stuff.
Mhm.
It's like even with that, there's always going to be times where you're towing the line. Um,
Sure.
probably,
Yeah. And there's going to be
maybe.
people that at your level of customer volume, definitely like a lot of 1 and 2 stars in addition to the fives. Like we used to
There you
post,
go.
yeah.
89,000. Just pass it. Actually, and there's a
Look at
is
that, he
it
verified it's higher.
verifies higher. You got to under promise and over deliver. And
Uh,
plus, these also count. This is a split test variation that I'm running right now that has 650. So I'm almost at 90,000.
Dude,
Almost. But yeah, give me like 2 months, I'll be at 100,000.
I would love to have you back. Like I said, we're creating a community of people that really want to go deep and learn this. So Blake is going to be someone I invite to be in there. Now, whether he contributes and continues to contribute depends on the people that we put in there with him, I would imagine, if you're like me. Because if I'm the only one giving value, then I really don't want to just be leached from forever. So if that is you guys and you guys are like a giver, or if you have nothing to give right now, but you are a learner and you will actually do the things that Blake is recommending that he said in this and come back with them and maybe share insights, that to me is super valuable and affirming. So if you're either one of those, I would love to have you in this community.
Basically, so I don't know if you know who Charlie T is, but he he's a Facebook ads guy, but he's more so a growth marketer. And
Charlie, crazy
um,
hair, Charlie. Always
what's
dyes.
that?
Charlie,
Yeah,
you dyes.
it does his hair. He's got the
Charlie.
nails.
Yeah.
So um, I I won't say anything more than that. But this was really smart, and it actually panned out to make a lot of sense. So he was basically saying that like you need to look at your like the actions that contribute to ascension in a matrix. And he said there's probably a correlation between people who take the upsell and people who fill it, because after they book their call, they get to the thank you page. There's an intake form that says if you fill out the 60-second form and tell us about like your industry, um, what made you buy the black book and whatever, I'll give you a 2-hour objection handling training for free. So I've gotten like 16,000 plus responses so that I get market research back from the funnel.
That's sick. So what, add conversion rates or add conversion rates, that first bullet in the top?
Find unit value per customer for these 4 buckets.
Like and conversion rates or add conversion rates? Was it a misspelling?
Uh,
I guess both apply.
yeah, I don't know. It could be both. I actually don't remember.
Yeah.
So this one I actually didn't even go far enough into this rabbit hole to
Oh,
look into this. But his basic theory was that like if you find that certain messaging in ads, so let's say that Jeremy says, "Are you struggling with objections?" Then la la da da da, or he says, "Are you struggling with cold calling?" Blah 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 blah. But you find that all the videos that start where he talks about objection handling in the hook, they ascend at 5 times the amount as any other like hook. Then he's like, just do that.
yes. Which speaks to
Basically.
the average time from payback period, basically. It increases the payback period
Yeah.
or payback period. Yep.
Yes. So anyways, but he was saying that like if they take the upsell, there's no form. So basically like AOV and first purchase value and then intent over here. So the intent, we define intent as filled in the intake form, and first purchase value is the AOV. So then
And
what's that?
yeah, now I'm seeing what as a little bit below the fold clarifies the levels. Yeah, right. Most people don't think that way. Yep. And then do you guys actually look at is financial means or like their financial resources on a survey is that predictable of the velocity or the payback period at all?
It's very predictable as to whether or not they will close and
Yeah.
and which tier they buy at, because we have
Uh-huh.
a few different levels that because we're 7th level after all, right? We gotta have
Yeah,
7
you're
levels.
level, which I didn't
So
why. We'll save that for maybe Jeremy if he comes on.
if you look up like 7th level in like religious ancient like religion, you'll
I will.
see
Yeah.
it's very interesting. It's based on like the 7 levels of heaven or something like that, and that the 7th level is the ultimate level of perfection that you're striving for. So it's a whole thing. But
I'm only on
any,
so
I'm only on 5. It's
yeah.
okay. Joe, I'm still level 1 down here. It's lonely, but
Fifth level
so
LLC.
so here, I'll show you how this pans out, right? So if we go here, right? So I took this, and basically what I did was I downloaded all the black book buyers of all time with the value, and then I downloaded all the type form responses that had all the intake forms, and then I downloaded a list of all the clients who had purchased the black book. And then I gave them all 3 of those to ChatGPT, and I asked it to look for these specific correlations.
That's smart.
The only thing I will give you, like everybody listening, as a caveat is that you have to check ChatGPT's work because it will make mistakes. But um, basically, what we found was that the LTV is approximately $407.61. So if our CPA on a black book buyer is $100 or less, we're 4xing our money over time. But I think it was over like an all-time window too. So like it's probably an inflated LTV from all time. But
The LTV keeps inflating for infinity.
yeah. And then I think here you go. So check this out. So if they did not fill out the form, they send at 2.83. If they did fill out the form, 8.1.
Mm. So how important is the fourth bucket to you in retargeting, or do you seek to eliminate it?
The fourth bucket being,
Or that fourth bullet point of people who don't fill out the form, because there's two schools of thought of like, hey, DQ these people, or do you just have a certain like retargeting approach?
oh, like just retargeting them to fill out the intake form? I mean, to be honest with you, I probably should do that, or we should probably have that in the tags in our email follow-up.
Yeah,
That's
I
like,
don't know
hey,
if you could or not, but it's definitely you could do it.
yeah, it's just like, but I just wonder how much the spend would be worth getting to do that, And then plus you're like muddying the waters a little bit in the account. Maybe. I don't know. That's a really interesting idea though to look into.
So the reason why I thought of it is because are you using Typeform at all as the form or no? Long form.
Yeah.
Okay. So Typeform doesn't capture doesn't capture partial captures. So like if you can get to 7 to 8 questions and then they have to go or they computer crashes or the page refreshes, then that still fits into that category. And I wish that you could do it without like this little plugin or like development thing that you have to code in. But yeah, you can't get those partial captures. And I always looked at their analytics and we're like, okay, I'm getting all the drop off rates, but I don't actually have the data from the partial capture. So you can
Oh
put
yeah.
questions and move it around, try to make the form easier. But yeah, I just end up retargeting those people. But again, I don't know if that's the right move or not, because it could speak to a variety of things.
Yeah, I mean, I have to take a think about that for sure. The other thing you could do is, or like, I guess the thing you could argue with that is if you're going to retarget for them to fill out a form, why don't you just retarget them with an offer to get on a call and sign up for this stuff?
Right. That's
Maybe.
so yeah, in retargeting, typically with a form fill, it's interesting because if they already watched the VSL or have watched any videos from Jeremy at this point, so they have some level of context. So yeah, they either need more context or more they don't know, like, or trust in one of those like three buckets, right? Or they don't have the time would be
But
my
the VSL play rate on that black book funnel is really low. It's like less than 5%.
what? How?
I
5%?
don't know. Dude, I don't know. It's
I'm going
crazy.
through I'm really interested in your funnel. This is a very, very cool funnel, dude, and these metrics are great. And it's really sweet that you're approaching 100,000 of something that you got to create and own, or co-create and own. So shout out. What do you
We could totally do a part two deep dive of the funnel.
do? Yeah, I actually do, and we're going. If you want, I'm curious what would be more fun for you on a part two, bringing someone else or like the sales leader back, and you guys could talk about what the marketing sales like approach is at this stage because that's interesting to me, or a panel where it's like you, me, and maybe like someone else from another external company, and we further like nerd out on this type of stuff and just theorize of what we could do to test.
I would say the latter.
Cool. Let's do the
Just
last.
because the sales management just shifted hands again.
Yep.
So they're not even going to be able to
Yeah,
probably.
no, I hear you. Well, we'll give them 3 months to prove themselves
Yeah,
here.
we'll do it later.
Yeah.
But actually, we might be testing some stuff soon that might make it really interesting to catch up on it again in the 3 months.
Cool.
But then the interesting thing with this data is if they fill out a form, they actually have a higher AOV. So like if their AOV is higher, they're more likely to fill out the form.
Interesting. It's like, is it self-fulfilling because it's commitment and consistency that they've
So that's the caveat with this too, is I'm like, I don't know if I don't know if the intake form is making them committed or if I'm just identifying the committed.
it's probably both, but which one is more powerful? I don't know because commitment and consistency, that's why double tie downs and triple tie downs exist, just
Yeah.
root principle. So it is self-fulfilling in the fact that like you want to be consistent with what you say you're going to do. But to some degree, like, and usually when it's not asked or asked in a form, I would have to think that financial means because people lie financially, they will sandbag it either way in either
Oh,
direction.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
so you asked about that. So we've tried not necessarily on this funnel, oddly enough. That's something that we might look into, but with some of the VSL like direct to strategy call funnels we have, we've asked if they make less than 3K between 3 and 5, 5 to 10, over 10, like some weird combination of numbers, right? If they say less than 3K a month, they they close at like 1%, like it's really low.
Mhm.
If they make over 3K, it's like anything over that is better. Like, and they're all within like approximate range. And then it actually goes down over 10K. And I'm like, well, it's because they're not as in as much pain to like make a decision because they're already doing fairly well in my
Dude,
mind.
yes. So I will, first of all, Prefi, who I hope sponsors this podcast, do you know about them?
No.
They pulled the best point of enrichment data I could possibly ask for at this point, which is people lie on forms and they pull their of total available credit, the inverse of utilization, basically, of their credit cards. So like to me, it doesn't really matter if they make 5K a month if they can put 20K down on cards right now between a variety. So having that data allows you to be like, oh, should we have DQ'd this person? They make, like $2,000 a month. Yet they could afford this. Like they could afford it today. It could be a one call close. And arming
Oh,
sales reps with that data and knowledge gives them the ability to push because like great sales reps usually like really identify the desired situation and sell through conviction of like, don't you want to get where you want? How bad do you want it? But ultimately, a lot of people will pull off and they're like, look, bro, I'm broke. Like, run the card, it declines. And Prefi exposes the fact that like across multiple cards, they could do it. So you can either split the payments or like put it one shot kill. So I don't know
interesting.
what the match rate is, but I'll send you the demo and I'm going to send their founder this little clip of the podcast too. Brought by Prefi. So that's great because historically I never knew and I just would use like tower data and be like, okay, which just also guesses at their net worth and their income. And it's really hard to figure out a correlation. But
Hmm.
I figure that there's probably people out there that just don't want to get sold. They're like salespeople, savvy salespeople who
Oh
know that
yeah.
the more money they put that they have, the easier it is for them to be sold. So
Yeah, I tried to do qualitative ways of addressing that. Like I was like, describe your current situation, and it's like, and I said, I'm currently in sales, but I'm struggling to hit quota, type of thing, or I'm experienced in sales and I'm doing fairly well, but I know there's another level. You know what I mean? But that's not as black and white, I find, you know, as are you making this or that,
I I'm gonna send this link. This is the meeting I'm about to go to. I was telling you a little bit about Dial OS last time. We got like 5 minutes, and I'm supposed to be running this meeting, but
Sure.
I would love for you to meet them because they are. If you have that new sales leader, we'll audit and pull that stuff for free on Pickup, Convo, Dial, like offer, and get his analytics all set up so he can actually manage this stuff. I would love for you to see it and just know what it looks like.
Sure. Um, yeah, the only last thing I guess I was gonna say on this was
Yeah, what
you
do
can
you need?
see
We did that part. I'll add that at the end too.
is at what?
Like, what do you need? What are you looking for right now? Is it more talent? Is it to fix a certain funnel? Is it what can you ask this audience of 0 views currently right now, but will be more? So I might the right
uh,
people.
I don't know, man. This episode might go viral.
It might go
Um,
viral. Who do you want to go viral to? You can
yeah,
pick
but
a
I don't,
company.
between my 37 followers, which is mainly my mom and her friends,
Uh,
I would say if I wanted help with something, it would be thinking about like how to take this like really strong core customer acquisition thing and then build a really strong revenue model around it, or like back end, or for example like publishing.com, it's like they're teaching you how to publish on Amazon or whatever, or Audible, but then they also have a software that helps you write your book automatically. And it's like, I think we're missing something there. That's like, this thing is working so well that if we could just get something that would compound it or double its efficacy, that would be what I'd be looking for.
heck yeah. All right, guys. If you can help Blake out with that problem, go ahead and reach out. What social do you want blown up?
Oh God, I mean, I
How
don't
many
have
followers
any.
do you want, Blake? No, I wish I could do that. That'd be fun.
Maybe my IG. I don't check it that much, but
I'll drop it for you guys here, somewhere around the screen or in the resources below. Go follow Blake on IG. He's one of the greats of this industry, I would say, truly. And I will see you guys next time.